Chapter 1. Accidental Collision. The Warsaw Prime starport shimmered under the glow of alien neon, a labyrinth of floating walkways and hovering shuttles that hummed with low, mechanical resonance. The air was thick with the scent of ionized metal, exotic spices, and the faint tang of ozone from the overhead plasma conduits. Elias Hart navigated the crowd with a sort of human clumsiness that seemed almost intentional among the precise, gliding forms of Kshiri merchants and their luminescent attendants. He was late. Again. His boots clanged against the metallic floor, a stark, defiant percussion in a place designed for silent efficiency. Screens floated midair, displaying flight manifests and transit updates in looping alien glyphs that pulsed with soft blue light. He ducked under a conveyor drone carrying luminescent cargo and crash. A collision of bodies, a jolt of alien energy, and suddenly he was staring into the shocked golden eyes of a Kshiri female. Lyria. Her presence was like gravity made visible. Tall, sleek, and impossibly elegant, her skin faintly iridescent, catching the neon in streaks of violet and green. She staggered back. One delicate hand pressed her abdomen and Elias froze. Oh no, he stammered. I'm so sorry I didn't. Lyria's voice cut sharp, melodic, but tinged with something unfamiliar. Pain. Human, she hissed, her slender fingers tightening. You've injured my private part breeding. Her words hung in the air, alien and precise, but the weight behind them was clear. Elias blinked. You're what? He had expected indignation, maybe a demand for apology, but this was unprecedented. The bustling crowd didn't slow, indifferent to the drama unfolding in the middle of the starport. My mating season begins, Lyria continued, her voice steady but her eyes betraying fear. If this injury is not treated, it will jeopardize the cycle. She paused, studying him, and the hum of hovering transports filled the silence like a low, electric drum. Please, you must help me. Elias swallowed, his human instincts kicking in, an odd mix of guilt, fascination, and stubborn courage. I don't know how, but I'll help. I promise. He raised his hands slightly, palms open, signaling no threat. Around them, Kshiri passers-by shot curious glances but gave them a wide berth, as if instinctively sensing the human-alien tension in the air. Lyria's eyes narrowed, not in anger but assessment. You may not understand the stakes, she said, each word deliberate. This is not minor. She touched the silver clasp of her ceremonial tunic, and Elias noticed a faint shimmer of biosensors embedded in her clothing, glowing softly as they monitored her vital signs. He reached out hesitating, then guided her to a quieter corridor, away from the chaos. The corridor walls hummed with energy conduits, and the floor panels shimmered faintly underfoot, responding to movement. Elias' mind raced, human ingenuity bubbling against the unfamiliarity of alien biology and culture. He could improvise, adapt, survive. After all, humans were good at being unpredictable. As they moved, Lyria's breathing evened, though the subtle tremor in her frame betrayed lingering pain. You are unlike others, she admitted finally, the words almost a whisper over the soft thrumming of the corridor. Others might have fled. Others might have dismissed me. Elias chuckled softly, the sound oddly warm against the metallic surroundings. Humans don't do fleeing very well. And dismissing well, that's boring. He could feel a thread of connection forming, tense, tentative, and infinitely delicate. The starport outside was a riot of color and motion, neon streaks reflecting in the obsidian visor of a hovering patrol drone. Inside the corridor, the hum of engines and distant chatter faded, leaving just the two of them, one human, one Kshiri, caught in a collision that would ripple far beyond this moment. Lyria looked at him, a mixture of suspicion and cautious hope. Very well, she said. If you intend to help, then follow. The station's medical sanctum is specialized. It is not meant for humans. You may learn why your kind is unusual if you survive it. Elias smiled, a flash of human stubbornness and determination. I'll survive, and maybe I'll even help. He stepped closer, careful, and together they moved toward the elevators that would take them into the heart of alien technology and culture, each step echoing the unspoken promise of human resilience in a galaxy that did not yet understand it. The collision had been accidental, but its consequences, both perilous and extraordinary, were only just beginning. Chapter 2, Neon Nights, Alien Lights. The Starliner Aurora's grace glided silently through the upper atmosphere of Versha Prime, engines emitting a steady hum that vibrated to the metallic floors. Elias Hart followed Lyria down the narrow gangway toward the passenger quarters, his boots clicking against polished alloy panels. Outside the viewports, the alien city sprawled like a living organism, towers of glass and metal intertwined with glowing crystalline veins, hovercraft zipping along invisible lanes, and neon advertisements pulsating in colors as human eyes couldn't name. The scene was beautiful, chaotic, and alien, and Elias felt a familiar thrill. Humans adapted fast, and he intended to make the most of it. Lyria moved with gliding precision, her elongated fingers brushing lightly against the handrails, the bioluminescent lines in her skin faintly shifting in rhythm with her breath. "You seem unperturbed," she observed, her golden eyes tracking the swirling traffic below. "Most humans would be overwhelmed by the density, the sensory overload. Yet you smile." Elias shrugged, an easy grin tugging at his lips. "Humans are messy. We thrive in chaos. You'll get used to it or not, and that's okay too." His tone was light, but his mind was calculating every detail. The layout, the tech, the customs. Humans were small, fragile compared to the Curie, yet ingenuity often outweighed strength. They entered the Starliner's common deck, a wide expanse of polished alloy floors and ambient lighting that shifted with the time cycle outside. Various alien species occupied the space, each engrossed in their own business, trading exotic goods, consuming luminescent food cubes, or consulting floating data pads that hovered inches from their hands. Lyria stiffened at one merchant offering a sharp-toothed creature for sale. "They cannot understand mercy," she muttered, a hint of disgust in her voice. Elias leaned closer, his hand brushing hers for balance. "Humans tend to ask questions. We improvise. Sometimes it works." He caught her glare but added softly, "Sometimes it works better than it should." His humor was awkward but genuine, and it seemed to disarm her, even slightly. A soft vibration ran to the floor as the ship adjusted its course, and a faint artificial breeze carried scents of ionized metal and heated synthetic polymers. Lyria inhaled sharply. "This motion, it feels unnatural, dangerous. Zero gravity has its quirks," Elias admitted. He released a strap above him and pushed off the wall with a controlled glide, spinning gently in the air before catching the railing again. "But once you master it, you're untouchable. Humans adapt faster than you think." Her lips twitched in the ghost of a smile. "Your species is bold." Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden commotion near the central hub, a black market healer operating illegally, surrounded by a cluster of Curie youth, exchanging whispered deals. Lyria stiffened, her glowing skin pulsing brighter. "That one," she hissed, "he deals in forbidden remedies. If he interferes with the cycle, it could be catastrophic." Elias followed her gaze, noting the healer's crude anti-grav devices and biomanipulators. He frowned. "Leave it to me. I've got ideas." Before she could protest, he wove through the crowd with human unpredictability, sidestepping, ducking, and sliding between alien forms with the awkward fluidity only humans possessed. In a few moments, the healer's attention shifted, startled by Elias' unorthodox approach, giving Lyria just enough space to recover her posture. When he returned, triumphant but panting slightly, Lyria's golden eyes regarded him with a mixture of incredulity and grudging admiration. You improvise, she said, the words carrying on more than accusation. Your kind reckless, untrained, yet effective. Elias grinned, brushing a streak of synthetic dust from his jacket. I told you, humans adapt. We're messy, stubborn, and sometimes lucky. For a moment, the neon-lit city outside faded into the background. Two unlikely allies, human and Curie, floated amidst the ambient glow of the ship, united by necessity, curiosity, and the fragile beginnings of trust. The journey ahead would test more than ingenuity. It would test resilience, morality, and the very nature of what it meant to be human in a galaxy that didn't yet fully appreciate them. Lyria exhaled softly, the tension in her shoulders easing just a fraction. Perhaps, she murmured, your species is unusual, perhaps valuable. Elias smiled, the corners of his eyes crinkling. Unusual, sure. Valuable, well, I guess you'll see. The Aurora's grace continued its glide through the swirling neon clouds of Vershaw Prime, a silent vessel carrying two very different beings toward danger, discovery, and the unpredictable brilliance of humanit. Chapter 3, Healing Hands, Fragile Trust. The orbital medical sanctum hung like a jewel above the swirling gases of Vershaw Prime, its crystalline spires reflecting starlight and the neon glow of the planet below. Elias stepped off the shuttle with cautious determination, the hum of grav lifts resonating through his bones. Every surface of the station gleamed with alien precision, polished alloys, glowing bioconduits, and holographic displays that shifted in impossible geometries. Humans often stumbled in these spaces, but Elias had learned curiosity and adaptability were just as vital as strength. Lyria floated slightly ahead, her bioluminescent veins pulsing in rhythm with her accelerated heartbeat. The doctors here, she said, voice tight, are unlike those you might encounter. They do not assume competence outside their own species. Be cautious. Elias swallowed, adjusting the straps on his utility jacket. Humans can manage. Messy, loud, stubborn but adaptable. His words carried a hint of pride and perhaps defiance. Lyria's golden eyes flickered toward him, a mixture of exasperation and curiosity. The reception area was a silent ballet of alien efficiency. A Curie medic floated past, carrying a luminescent capsule that seemed to pulse in time with Lyria's heartbeat. Other species drifted through the corridors, each movement graceful, deliberate. Humans might have looked awkward here, but Elias moved with deliberate purpose, studying, calculating, and improvising. A voice spoke in melodic, crystalline tones. Lyria of House Shaver, your condition is critical. A tall, serpentine figure approached, its translucent wings folded neatly along its back. And your companion, it added, turning to Elias, is human, curious, untrained, dangerous, perhaps even insightful. Elias offered a modest nod. I'm willing to learn. Fast. The medic studied him, tilting its elongated head. Humans are unpredictable. Proceed. Inside the treatment chamber, a circular platform floated in zero gravity, biosensors pulsing in pale blue. Lyria exhaled sharply as she positioned herself, delicate hands brushing over the medical restraints that were more ritual than necessity. The alien doctors moved with precision, inserting luminescent probes and scanning her physiology with instruments that hummed softly. Elias hovered nearby, every instinct alert. Anything I can do? He asked, voice steady but tinged with concern. The lead medic's translucent appendages hovered over a console. Observe. Learn. Your kind may understand or interfere. Minutes stretched like hours. Elias studied the readings, tracing Lyria's vitals with a mix of awe and human ingenuity. Her species' reproductive biology was intricate, layered with bioelectric feedback and hormonal cascades humans had never encountered. And yet, as he watched, he began to see patterns, small redundancies, ways to assist with improvised adjustments, a human mind applying logic to alien design. Lyria's breathing shuddered. Be careful, she whispered. This is delicate. Elias nodded, gently extending a hand. I've got you. You're not alone in this. The simple gesture was alien to her culture, but the sincerity behind it resonated. She hesitated, then allowed her hand to hover near his, a subtle acknowledgement of trust. Hours passed. Finally, the hum of the machine shifted, signaling stabilization. Lyria exhaled, golden eyes softened. You helped? Somehow. She touched the bioluminescent panel on her wrist, and her vitals normalized. Elias allowed himself a small smile. Humans adapt. Sometimes messy, sometimes risky, but it works. The lead medic regarded him silently, a faint acknowledgement in its crystalline tones. Perhaps humans are unusual, valuable, fragile yet insightful. Lyria's gaze met his, a mix of gratitude and something deeper, unspoken. You are unlike anyone I have met, she admitted softly. You do not understand fully, yet you act. Courage, empathy, determination. Unfamiliar traits in my experience. Elias shrugged, the human stubbornness shining through. We survive because we try. We fail sometimes. And we keep going. The station outside shimmered with neon reflections from Varsha Prime, a silent reminder that the galaxy was vast, indifferent, and dangerous. Yet within the glowing chamber, human ingenuity and alien precision had converged, a fragile alliance formed in zero gravity, amid humming machinery and alien scents. For the first time, Lyria regarded him not merely as a helper or accident, but as a partner capable of insight, courage, and perhaps more. The future would be uncertain, filled with trials no human or alien could predict, but for now, trust had been earned. And in that trust, Elias glimpsed the remarkable potential of humans. Not the strongest, not the fastest, but the most adaptable and sometimes the most extraordinary. Chapter 4. Stolen by Shadows. The orbital medical sanctum still hummed with quiet energy, but the momentary calm was shattered by an abrupt vibration to the floor panels, a pulse that resonated deeper than the Starliner's engines, like a predator's heartbeat echoing in a metallic canyon. Lyria stiffened, her golden eyes widening as the lights flickered, casting her bioluminescent skin into sharper relief. They've come, she whispered, almost to herself. The words carried urgency that made Elias' blood tighten. The marauders of Teasdale. They take those with rare breeding cycles for experiments. Elias' jaw set. Humans were never the largest or strongest species in the galaxy, but when survival and loyalty were at stake, their ingenuity became a weapon. Then we stopped them. We don't wait. Before Lyria could protest, a section of the corridor shimmered and warped, the telltale shimmer of a phase intruder device. Figures emerged from the flickering shadows. Tall, sinewy, and inhuman, their armor glinting with adaptive camouflage. Their eyes glowed faint red through their helmets. Elias noted the faint hum of energy weapons charging as they advanced. Lyria's pulse quickened. Human, if they take me. Elias grabbed her hand, firm but steady. Not happening. Not on my watch. They darted toward the docking hub, Elias leading with unorthodox precision, his human unpredictability, zigzagging to the automated barriers, using maintenance conduits as cover, disoriented the marauders. The aliens paused, their trained instincts faltering against the chaos of human improvisation. Faster. Lyria urged, but fear laced her voice. Elias vaulted across a grav-lift corridor, spinning midair and catching a handrail with a clang that echoed through the station. Keep moving. Humans survive by thinking differently. Use what others ignore. Lyria mirrored his movements, her bioluminescence pulsing in alarm. The marauders split, trying to flank, but Elias predicted their path with uncanny intuition. He grabbed a floating utility module, hurling it with perfect trajectory. It collided with one marauder, sending him crashing into a containment wall. Another Elias incapacitated by yanking a bioconduit from the ceiling. electrocuting the intruder with a precise burst. "Impressive," Lyria murmured, partly awe, partly relief. "Humans," Elias said, panting slightly, "don't play by your rules." They reached the emergency shuttle bay, only to find one marauder already gripping a grappling line aimed directly at Lyria. Without thinking, Elias surged forward, tackling the creature midair. Zero-gravity combat was chaotic. Bodies spun like celestial debris, sparks flying from scraped conduits. Yet through it all, Elias' mind calculated angles, forces, and leverage with meticulous speed. Pure human ingenuity in action. Lyria gasped as Elias disengaged, grabbing her arm and pulling her toward the shuttle. The boarding ramp lowered with a hiss, a corridor of pale light leading them to temporary safety. "Go!" Elias shouted, shoving her inside first. He followed, kicking the hatch closed just as a marauder slammed against it, leaving a dent in the reinforced alloy. The shuttle's engines ignited, vibrating through the cabin as it launched into the starry void. Lyria sank to the floor, breathless, eyes wide. Elias crouched beside her, chest rising and falling rapidly. "You okay?" he asked, voice softer now, tinged with concern. She studied him, golden eyes shimmering with gratitude and something more, trust, awe, and a dawning recognition of human resilience. "You are unlike anyone I've ever encountered," she said quietly. "Courage, ingenuity, persistence." She hesitated, the words catching in her throat. Elias gave a small, lopsided smile. "I'm human. That's what we do. Messy, stubborn, reckless sometimes, but we survive. And we fight for those who can't." Outside the shuttle's viewport, Varshab Prime's neon clouds receded, replaced by the infinite darkness of space dotted with distant stars. In the fragile safety of their small vessel, human ingenuity had not only saved a life. It had earned trust, respect, and the first real spark of partnership between two species whose cultures could not have been more different. Lyria reached out, brushing her hand against his. "Perhaps humans are indeed remarkable," she whispered, the faint glow of her bioluminescence reflecting in his eyes. Elias chuckled softly, heart-pounding. "Unusual, unpredictable, adaptable, and sometimes exactly what the galaxy needs." The shuttle drifted into the void, carrying them both away from danger and closer to discoveries neither could yet imagine, their destinies entwined in the unpredictable brilliance of humanity. Chapter 5, Secrets Beneath the Neon. The shuttle hummed through the upper stratosphere of Varshab Prime, its engines vibrating with a quiet, resonant pulse. Elias leaned against the viewport, the neon-lit metropolis sprawling beneath them like a living circuit board, towering spires connected by glowing energy bridges, streets thrumming with hovercrafts, and marketplaces alive with alien color and scent. The city was both mesmerizing and dangerous, a labyrinth of opportunity for those daring or reckless enough to explore it. "Below lies the district of Shadowscale," Lyria said, her voice low, tense. "When marauders have their contacts. If we are to uncover why they targeted me, this is where we must go." Her skin flickered softly, bioluminescent veins tracing anxious patterns across her arms. Elias smiled faintly. "Then we go. Humans don't shy away from trouble, we dance with it." The shuttle descended through the atmospheric layers, wind buffeting the hull as sensors adjusted to turbulence. When they touched down in an abandoned docking ring, the scent of ozone and ionized metal mixed with a faint tang of alien spices from street-level stalls. Elias noted the subtle difference in gravity, the air density slightly heavier here. A minor inconvenience humans adapted to with ease. They exited the shuttle, stepping onto the rain-slick surface. Neon lights reflected off the puddles, casting a kaleidoscope of unnatural color across the narrow alleyways. Elias kept a careful watch, human eyes scanning for movement, for danger, patterns no alien had trained him to expect. "This place," Lyria muttered, glancing at the shadowed figures in high-collared cloaks, "is unregulated. Dangerous even for your species. Elias chuckled softly. Danger's just another kind of map. You learn the currents, the tides, and you move. They navigated the twisting streets, passing alien merchants hawking luminescent fruits, mechanical pets, and unidentifiable tech. The Marauders' contacts, shadowy figures with cybernetic enhancements, watched them from rooftops and alleyways. Elias' human unpredictability made them hesitate. He zigzagged through the crowds, blending subtle misdirection with human audacity. Finally, they arrived at a concealed entrance behind a shimmering holographic sign reading Near's Bazaar. Lyria's eyes narrowed. Inside, truth and danger coexist. Be careful. The interior was a sensory assault. Floating stalls of exotic wares, glowing bioimplants hovering midair, alien melodies that resonated in wavelengths Elias' human ears could barely process. Traders moved with fluid, precise motions, their eyes tracking every intruder. Elias felt the weight of eyes upon him and smiled inwardly. Humans had a way of standing out without losing control. Ingenuity often turned observation into advantage. A cloaked figure approached, its mechanical limbs whirring softly. Lyria of Halshavar, it said in crystalline tones. And the human, its gaze lingered on Elias, sharp and calculating. You have survived thus far. Curiosity or foolishness? Both, Elias replied, meeting the figure's gaze with steady human defiance. And sometimes curiosity saves lives. The figure studied them, then gestured to a back corridor lit by pulsating neon tubes. Follow. Secrets lie beneath. But beware. Truth is a dangerous commodity here. Elias and Lyria descended through a narrow shaft that opened into a hidden sublevel, a labyrinth of pipes, suspended walkways, and humming machinery. Holographic panels flickered with encrypted messages, and faint traces of marauder activity marked the walls. Elias' eyes caught a pattern in the floor sensors, an overlooked security loop. He whispered to Lyria, "Step lightly." Humans notice what others overlook. They advanced cautiously, and soon a hidden chamber revealed itself. Crates of stolen alien technology, vials marked with Lyria's biosignature, and data pads detailing marauder operations across Varsha Prime. Lyria's skin glowed faintly, a mix of anger and fear. They've been harvesting my cycle for months, experimenting on others too. Elias clenched his fists. Then we make sure it ends. Humans may be small, but we can change things with the right moves. He scanned the room, noting structural weaknesses, emergency routes, and potential weapons, a plan forming in his mind. Lyria looked at him, her golden eyes reflecting a growing respect. You adapt, not just survive, but understand. Perhaps humans are truly exceptional. Elias smiled, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. We're messy, stubborn, and unpredictable, but sometimes that's enough. Outside, the neon city pulsed with indifferent life. Beneath its surface, human ingenuity and courage were beginning to unravel secrets that could change the balance of power and define the role of humanity in the galaxy once again. Chapter 6: Infiltration and Revelation. The hidden sublevel hummed with low-frequency energy as Elias crouched beside a stack of luminescent crates. Lyria hovered close, her bioluminescent veins flickering nervously. The Marauder base sprawled before them, a labyrinth of shifting corridors, high-tech security grids, and faintly glowing hazard markers. To any outsider, the defenses would have seemed insurmountable. To a human with nothing but instinct, observation, and adaptability, it was a puzzle begging to be solved. We need a plan, Lyria whispered, her golden eyes scanning patrol routes. Every second we waste, more of my people suffer. Elias' gaze swept over the corridor, noting the subtle rhythms of the Marauders' movements, the pauses in their patrol, the faint hum of their security fields. Then we improvise, but strategically. Humans aren't always strong. Sometimes we survive because we notice the things others ignore. He reached into his jacket, retrieving a small, multipurpose human device, part hacking tool, part EMP emitter, part flashlight. With a series of deft motions, he synchronized it with the Marauder sensors, causing the lights to flicker in a pattern that masked their movements. Lyria's breath hitched, but she allowed herself to follow, floating silently behind him. The first corridor was deceptively simple. Sensors blinked intermittently, a faint pulse indicating a field Elias' human mind calculated almost instinctively. He moved with precision, guiding Lyria through the gaps, their shadows stretching long across the metallic walls. Each step, each decision carried weight. Failure could mean exposure, capture, or worse. A faint click echoed from above, a Marauder patrol descending a stairwell. Elias froze, holding up a finger. Lyria's skin pulsed nervously, her instincts screaming caution. Elias whispered, "Trust me." With a human flourish, he activated a localized grav field, causing their shadows to shift unnaturally, breaking the patrol's pattern recognition. The aliens passed without notice. Lyria exhaled quietly, a flicker of admiration crossing her face. They reached the inner chamber, a control hub humming with stolen alien tech. Screens displayed bioscans of captives, including detailed logs of Lyria's own breeding cycle. The Marauders have been cataloging, experimenting, and exploiting with ruthless precision. Lyria's fists clenched. All of this could destroy my people. Elias placed a hand on her shoulder, grounding her. Then we make sure it doesn't. Humans survive because we act, not wait. Observe, adapt, and strike at the right moment. He approached the central console, fingers dancing across holographic keys. The alien interface resisted logic, but Elias' human ingenuity found patterns, exploiting redundancies no Marauder had considered. Lines of code bent his will, locks disengaged, and security grids flickered in controlled chaos. Suddenly, a warning flashed. Reinforcements were approaching. Lyria's glowing veins pulsed faster, her voice trembling. "They'll catch us if we don't hurry." Elias glanced at the containment chamber, then back at the approaching patrol. "We'll release them. Now, humans aren't always the strongest, but we know how to turn a corner into an advantage." The containment units opened, releasing alien captives who froze in confusion, but quickly grasped the situation. Elias guided them, improvising barriers and leveraging the station's architecture to create choke points. Marauders arrived, only to find an unpredictable human force reshaping the battlefield with ingenuity rather than brute strength. Lyria observed, awe and gratitude mingling. Your mind, it's unlike anything my people have seen. Humans, do you think differently?" Elias smirked, ducking a plasma pulse that narrowly missed him. "We survive because we adapt. We improvise. And sometimes we save the day in ways no one expects." As the last Marauder was outmaneuvered and the captives escorted to safety, Lyria turned to Elias, her golden eyes shimmering. "I misjudge humans. You are remarkable, courageous, clever, and unrelenting." Elias gave a lopsided smile, brushing a streak of soot from his jacket. "We're messy, stubborn, and unpredictable, but it works. And today it saved lives." Beyond the control hub's windows, the neon city pulsed with indifferent life. Below, humans and aliens alike were learning that even in a galaxy of advanced technology and ruthless predators, ingenuity, adaptability, and courage, the very traits that defined humanity, could tip the balance in the most desperate of situations. For Elias and Lyria, it was more than victory. It was proof that humans, even fragile and imperfect, were extraordinary in ways no alien had anticipated. Chapter 7. Reckoning at Starfall Citadel. The Starfall Citadel loomed above the horizon of Versha Prime, like a jagged crown of black crystal, pierced by sharp spires and connected by luminescent skybridges. Its exterior pulsed faintly, a rhythm that resonated through the shuttle, as Elias guided them closer. The Marauders' leader, an imposing figure known only as Xar, waited within, orchestrating a network of oppression and exploitation. Today, that network would meet human unpredictability. Lyria's tail flicked nervously against the floor as she studied the Citadel's defenses. Even my people fear this place. They say Xar bends the station itself to his will. Gravity fields, surveillance, traps. None enter and survive. Elias cracked a half-smile, adjusting his gloves. None but humans. And we have two things on our side, creativity and stubbornness. He reached for the hatch release, the shuttle's engines vibrating as it prepared to dock. And I don't give up. The boarding ramp hissed open, revealing a corridor lined with pulsating energy barriers. Sensors traced every movement, a gauntlet designed to detect and eliminate intruders. Elias crouched, surveying the patterns. Watch carefully. Human intuition notices patterns others ignore. He led Lyria through a serpentine path, stepping between invisible pulses, ducking behind conduits, and occasionally using improvised cover, a floating maintenance drone here, a hanging cable there. The barriers pulsed in frustrated cadence. Elias' human unpredictability made them hesitate, misalign, misfire. Lyria's glowing veins brightened in awe. You bend the rules of physics with your thinking. They reached the central chamber, where Xar waited, a silhouette against the panoramic window, revealing the swirling neon of Versha Prime below. His voice resonated through the hall, amplified by the Citadel systems. Lyria of Shaver, and the human who dares meddle. You cannot comprehend the forces you challenge. Elias stepped forward, hands open, calm. Humans understand one thing above all. Actions matter. And sometimes, the smallest actions can topple the strongest of tyrants. Xar moved with terrifying speed, his armor morphing with reactive tech. Plasma energy crackled along his limbs. But Elias, predictable only in his unpredictability, sidestepped, using the Citadel's gravity flux to his advantage. Zero-gravity bursts sent Xar spinning, momentarily unbalanced. Lyria gasped, eyes wide as human ingenuity turned disadvantage into opportunity. You exploit weaknesses like no alien I've known, Lyria murmured, floating beside him. Elias grinned, ducking a surge of plasma and launching a makeshift EMP from his device. Xar's armor faltered, system short-circuiting as human adaptability turned a crude tool into a weapon. Lyria joined him, her bio-signature pulsing in synchronization, adding her own alien energy to disrupt the Citadel's defenses. Xar roared, attempting a final strike, but Elias anticipated the angle, luring him toward the central energy conduit. Sometimes, Elias said, voice steady despite the chaos, humans improvise faster than you can calculate. He activated a tethered line, redirecting Xar into a containment field that shimmered and locked around him. Silence fell. The Citadel systems rebooted, the oppressive hum replaced by faint, neutralized vibrations. Lyria's golden eyes shone with gratitude and something deeper, trust, respect, and the acknowledgement of human brilliance. You have done what none of us could, she said softly, floating closer. Human courage, ingenuity, resilience. I see now why your people are revered in legend. Elias offered a small, humble smile. We're not perfect. Messy, stubborn, reckless sometimes. But we fight and we adapt. That's what makes us special. Beyond the Citadel's windows, Versha Prime glimmered with life indifferent to conquest, unaware that humans, small, fragile, and unpredictable, had just rewritten the rules. Aliens and captives alike emerged from hidden chambers. Free at last, their awestruck gazes following Elias. Lyria reached out, brushing his hand with a feather-light touch. Perhaps humans are exactly what the galaxy needs. Brave enough to challenge, clever enough to endure, and stubborn enough to survive. Elias' smile widened. And sometimes, he said, voice steady, we even inspire hope. as the Starfall Citadel stood neutralized behind them, its shadows giving way to the neon glow of Varsha Prime. A new chapter began, not just for Lyria, her people, or the rescued captives, but for humanity itself, whose ingenuity, courage, and unyielding spirit had once again proven extraordinary in a galaxy that had yet to fully understand them. Chapter 8. A Human's Reward. The dawn over Varsha Prime cast elongated shadows across the liberated district, bathing the neon-spired city in a soft, iridescent glow. Elias stood on a high observation platform, the hum of the city below mixing with the faint vibrations of distant starships. The battle at Starfall Citadel had ended, but the consequences rippled outward. Freed captives returning home, marauders scattered, and Lyria's people reclaiming their dignity. Lyria approached, her bioluminescent veins still pulsing faintly from exertion, her golden eyes warm but heavy with relief. The Citadel is quiet now. Your actions human, they've changed everything. Elias shrugged modestly, hands in his jacket pockets. We humans have a habit of overachieving when it matters most. Or maybe we just refuse to quit. His gaze swept over the city below, noting every detail. The hovercrafts returning to service, the neon lights reflecting in puddles from last night's rain, and the subtle realignment of alien guards now questioning authority. Your people, Lyria began hesitantly. They fear humans. They respect us for strength or cunning, yes, but not like this. They do not understand the human way. Elias looked at her, a small smile tugging at the corner of his lips. We don't just fight. We adapt. We improvise. And sometimes we inspire. That's how humans survive and thrive where others falter. She stepped closer, and for a moment, the weight of the past weeks, danger, deception, and unexpected trust hung between them. I thought I could manage without you, she admitted, her voice quiet yet steady. But you reminded me of something I've forgotten. Courage doesn't always come from size, strength, or knowledge. Sometimes it comes from heart, from the unwillingness to surrender to the impossible. Elias let a soft chuckle escape. Humans specialize in the impossible. It's our full-time job. They moved toward the edge of the platform, the city sprawling beneath them like a living circuit board, neon veins pulsing in every direction. Elias could feel the low hum of gravity field adjustments from the citadel below, and the faint tang of alien ozone in the air, a scent that had become strangely comforting in recent days. You've saved countless lives, human, Lyria continued. But there's another reward, one I did not anticipate. Her fingers brushed his hand, soft but deliberate, and Elias felt a spark, alien energy mingling with human warmth. For your bravery, your ingenuity, I want you to understand the depth of gratitude my people hold. And my own. Elias raised an eyebrow, his heart racing with a mixture of relief and curiosity. I've never been one for formalities, but I do appreciate gratitude. And gestures. She smiled, and in that moment, the tension, the fear, and the chaos of the past weeks crystallized into clarity. Humans, she whispered, you are remarkable. And sometimes more than remarkable, you are extraordinary. Not because of your strength alone, but because you fight when others would surrender. Because you adapt. Because you see possibilities where others see walls. Elias swallowed, feeling the full weight of her words. I guess that's our thing. Messy, stubborn, reckless, but we get results. For a long moment, the two of them simply stood there, watching the city awaken. The distant hum of engines, the scent of alien flora carried on the morning wind, and the glow of neon all seemed to resonate with a single truth. Humans were unpredictable, fearless, and sometimes heroic beyond measure. Finally, Lyria tilted her head, her gaze locking with his. Elias, there's a place for you among my people, if you choose. Not just as a human ally, but something more. Elias chuckled softly, the weight of the galaxy's expectations lifting from his shoulders. Humans never say no to the impossible. I think I'll stay a while. A soft laugh escaped her, and for the first time in weeks, the tension between them eased completely. The stars above Versha Prime sparkled through the thin clouds, a reminder that the universe was vast, dangerous, and unpredictable, but humans, as always, had a way of thriving within it. As Elias and Lyria stood side by side, looking down over the city they had helped save, the truth was undeniable. In a galaxy of unimaginable complexity, of alien cultures, and of impossible threats, humanity had proved once again that courage, ingenuity, and unyielding heart were rewards in themselves, and sometimes they could change everything. The observation deck of the newly liberated Starfall Citadel hummed softly, the faint pulse of artificial gravity vibrating under Elias's boots. Beyond the expansive viewport, Versha Prime rotated beneath them, its neon-lit cities twinkling like scattered constellations. Alien voices, captives and freed allies alike, echoed through the corridors, a symphony of hope and cautious wonder. Lyria floated beside him, her bioluminescent veins glowing softly, reflecting in the glass like twin streams of light. "I never thought anyone could do what you did," she admitted, her golden eyes wide and earnest. "You humans, you defy expectation. You turn despair into possibility." Elias reached out, letting their fingers brush. The gentle contact felt electric, bridging species, cultures, and worlds. "We don't just survive," he said, voice low but steady. "We fight. We adapt. We imagine. That's what makes us human." She smiled, a small laugh escaping, and for the first time in weeks, the weight of war and uncertainty lifted from her shoulders. "Then stay with us, not just as an ally, but as someone I trust." Above them, a starship glided past the horizon, engines humming, casting refracted light across the deck. In that moment, the galaxy seemed infinite, full of possibilities, yet somehow intimate, bound by courage, ingenuity, and heart. Elias met her gaze, warmth in his eyes. "I'll stay, and together we'll prove that even in the vastness of space, humans make a difference." Lyria leaned close, rested her head lightly on his shoulder. "And sometimes," she whispered, "humans inspire worlds." Outside, Versha Prime shimmered beneath alien stars, a reminder that in a universe of unimaginable wonders, humanity's spirit, stubborn, clever, and unyielding, was extraordinary.